Okay, Boys State, excuse me. Day 4, Wednesday. So by this time in the week, I was kind of disappointed because I didn't make governor spot. But before I lost my governor's seat by not sticking to the speech and all that, I'd kind of come to the terms with it. I was really happy to be on the Department of Humanities because I would prefer to be a doctor when I grow up. So that's the career I'm pursuing. So the fact that I was in the Department of Humanities, that was really helpful because if I want to make huge changes in the healthcare department, being able to understand how that seat works is kind of important if I want to do that. Anyway, Wednesday, day 4. So I wake up. We stayed up fairly late the night before discussing how everyone was basically unhappy with the results of the election. So that was kind of funny that everyone wasn't happy about that, but we stayed up late discussing, why we thought the other person wasn't very good, why we didn't think Alex was a very good job, and how it was kind of disappointing. A lot of people thought I would have done it, and a lot of people said they voted for me at the caucus, but it was Russ. I was sorry to disappoint, really was, because I don't feel like I gave the best performance I could have, and it fell through for that. Anyway, Wednesday we followed the normal Boys State stuff of waking up for breakfast, assembly. At some point in the week during the assembly, they brought out all of the mayors of the cities and sworn them in. And so our Clausen mayor was pretty funny. So he went up there and did his thing. It was pretty great. And then we went to operations. And so in those operations, I had kind of expected the budget to start passing soon so we could get stuff done. Basically, it was time to lobby. We should have been pretty soon pushing for time to lobby with the House for us to get stuff. And then kind of at this time of the week, we were expecting like $200,000 once the governor got elected for a group of grants to put schools in every county. And that was a huge thing during the debate. So our department did a fairly good job in pushing this agenda of public education for everyone in the school system. So I was fairly happy with how our department did in getting that need addressed and getting the support from majority of people in the state. So that was kind of interesting how we were able to pull a lot of people to our side. Anyway, so after that operations, we made plans of this is how we were going to do things, and then if we get any extra money, this is what we were going to do. But the budget never got passed, so we're like, okay, what are we going to do next? So then we went normal shebang on to lunch, and then we did another operations sessions, kind of getting with your thing. What else would you guys need after school? What can we help with now? Kind of stuff like that. And then at some point during the week, I also contacted, what other things could we work on as far as the counties with the money we did have, and kind of was trying to push my group to do that. I also started my own personal stuff so we could start working on the Google Docs stuff as a group rather than just I've noticed when big companies, they use Google Docs, the user isn't allowed to use many stuff or as much of the capabilities of the programs because people don't have access to the full suite of operations, such as sharing and things like that. So by making my own sheets and then sharing it, I was able to have a lot more control because they didn't want to give out passwords to people to use them the next year. So after that operations, I think I made this really sick spreadsheet of where our money was going, and it's kind of weird how I ended up doing accounting, which I was okay with. Like, I like it, but kind of doing it in my own way is the way I like to do it. So after that was rec time. Rec time, I was, once again, one thing I didn't like about Boys State is during rec time, what you were expected to do was at the first of the week pick the sport you wanted to play. So I decided ultimate frisbee. I wasn't good at basketball. I didn't want to do baseball. I didn't bring stuff for tennis, so I was like, ultimate frisbee sounds pretty good. And ultimate frisbee, it was super hot, so I didn't want to do ultimate frisbee because I could only carry. I was actually probably one of the luckier ones that could carry 2 liters of water because of my Life Water bottles. Life Water, hit me up, and because I really like water and Life Water and push them a lot. But so I had a total of 3 water bottles. I ended up leaving one there, but I'm missing the I one now. Other than that, I had all 3 of the first wave of designs, so I could only carry 2 full liters of water. But after an hour of running around and giving it out to people, that really wasn't enough and didn't stay cold long enough. So for this Boys State operations, we decided, hey, we didn't have a scheduled competition, so we went all inside and played a 5-on-5 half-court basketball game, and that was super fun. I was awful, but I was just glad to have people want me on their team and expect me to do well. So that was cool. I would like to do a segment entirely talking about this one kid that was super inspiring to me. I just really liked his character throughout the whole week. So after that, we went back. It was hot again. I remember one of the days, I think this might have been the day that I walked all the way to the rec center without shoes because boys were starting to make fun of me that I wouldn't wear socks with my shoes. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to wear shoes on the way to this whole thing. It was hot. I probably burned my feet, but when I come back and then I need to do stuff and I don't have shoes, I'm really glad I've done things like that. So after that was free time and then dinner, and then we went to the talent show. And I can't remember, is this the day? I gotta look on my script here. Or not my script. Yeah, no, it's not the day. Okay, so then we went to dinner, and then we had talent show. So after dinner, we assembled outside kind of back in our counties, and then we marched all the way down to McCain, which was a good, I'm just gonna call it a mile, but we went a different route, which I think people like the latter route better, because it was more straight, it had less turns in it, because the other way would have us walk in front of the student union, but this time we just walked by Chalmers and Abbott, and then turned left and walked down that big road all the way by the gymnasium, and then we'd cross by the union. So that was kind of easier than walking down the street, turning down the street and going by the gym. So then in McCain, we had the talent show. The talent show was super funny. They had this like poet guy that was really funny, but I was kind of disappointed afterwards to learn that even though he was so great and funny, he was actually a counselor. It wasn't a guy that did that. And it was kind of your normal talent show stuff with a bunch of good acts. Your normal talent show stuff. It had, your normal your normal talent show stuff, like you had a couple piano guys in there that, played piano really well and was classical, and kind of, after the piece was about 3 minutes long and not showy, it got really boring and sleepy. And then you had your guitarists that were in there. We had a karate guy, we had a tuba guy, so kind of just instruments, nothing really crazy or juggling. You have that one couple kids that can do like, oh, I can move my shoulders in this way and lock my fingers and move my shoulder around, or just kind of, you had the oddball things, and they really did a good job in the talent show of having the oddball stuff placed in the show to where it wasn't awkward. So that was carried out in a very professional manner, the way that they did the talent show in that regard. Other than that, I don't have really anything more to talk about after the talent show. I enjoyed it. I told people good job. One kid, he played a Rob Scallon song, and the guy at the end, the last dude played a really, really good rock and roll song. He played well on the pedals, there was probably a 2x12 amp or something, or 2x10 maybe. It wasn't huge, but it was enough to fill that auditorium. So it was like, hey, awesome. And he could sing too. And it was kind of like the 80s rock and roll, screaming, yelling, somewhere in the middle of that. And that's what he did. And so I enjoyed it. It kind of made me sad though, the talent show. I feel like I could have totally done something, but I just didn't prepare any pieces. And it's like when you didn't plan or prepare anything, then it fell flat on its face of what could we do. We didn't really do anything. And it was just disappointing to see that nothing came to fruition out of that. So yeah, that's kind of all I had to say about the talent show. I'm trying to hit 10 minutes with these videos, but this one's rocking. On Audacity right now, I can see it's about like 8 minutes and 46 seconds. But I take, as far as audio editing purposes go, I take out all of the vocal, the breaths. I might leave that one in there. Probably won't. But I leave in all the breaths, or I take out all the breaths. So every time I take a breath, I'll just, move through my audio file and cut those out. And by removing those pauses, it takes down the time quite a bit. I can't remember whether we stayed up really late this night. I do remember later in one of these days, and it was probably Thursday. So I'll talk more about it then. But Jared was really nice, and he kind of told us about how how people during their year, the governor wasn't good. Talent show was good and stuff, but you kind of got to learn more about your county counselors, and asking them questions at the end of it. So talent show was cool. And then I really liked reflections kind of at the end of the day. People were learning stuff, people were doing stuff, so that was neat to see. Some people were disappointed. Will made it, or Will didn't get his state spot, so I don't think we had anybody in our county that made a state position, so that was kind of sad. But the reflections were really good during the time, so I think maybe there's a lesson in there, and maybe I'll speak on that and start doing take fives back again. Those were really good, and I think people miss them. Or Joel misses them maybe, but I'm just lazy, so maybe I need to get off my can and do that or something. But yeah, there's more stuff to come, more stuff down the pipeline. I have a lot of ideas I want to do, but that's it. I'm sitting 10 minutes, 30 seconds right now. Hopefully the audio is good on this. I don't really know, but yeah, cool. That was Boys State Day 4 Wednesday. Thanks for listening.